It had been hours since Claire had seen another car on the road. She was starting to worry, but her phone had no signal, and the gas was running low. She'd left the main highway, following the back roads that promised to cut some time off her trip, but now it felt like she'd been driving in circles. Then, as if it were placed there for her convenience, a faded sign appeared in the distance. Welcome to Hollow Creek Motel. Vacancy. It seemed strange to find a motel out here, in the middle of nowhere, but Claire didn't have many options. She pulled into the gravel lot. The motel was old, its wooden structure sagging under the weight of time. The neon sign buzzed faintly, casting a sickly glow over the empty parking lot. Inside the lobby, the air smelled stale, like old carpet and pine. The floor was covered in faded linoleum tiles, and the walls were cluttered with old framed photos, mostly of the motel in its prime. There was a large wooden counter at the front, and behind it a woman stood. She was tall, her face pale, with a calm, almost mechanical smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice smooth but distant. Claire hesitated, then smiled awkwardly. "Just a room for the night." The woman nodded and handed her a small brass key. "Room 5, she said. "It's just down the hall." Claire noticed that the hall seemed unnaturally long. There were no other guests, no cars parked in the lot aside from her own. The silence was almost oppressive, but she shrugged it off. The door to room 5 creaked as Claire pushed it open. The room was small, old-fashioned, with dark wood paneling, a sagging bed, and a TV that looked like it had been left behind in the 80s. The curtains were drawn, and the only light came from a dim lamp beside the bed. Tired, Claire dropped her bag on the floor and sat on the bed. She opened the window slightly, allowing a faint breeze to filter in. But just as she settled in, she heard it, a soft whisper. She froze. It sounded like a voice, but too quiet to make out the words. She glanced around the room, but there was no one else there. The air felt heavier now, like the walls were closing in. She tried to shake it off and turned on the TV, but all that appeared on the screen was static. It was so loud, almost deafening. She reached for the remote, but the static seemed to grow, the noise becoming unnerving. Suddenly, the TV flickered, and for a split second, Claire saw something in the static, a face. She yanked the plug out of the wall. That night, Claire barely slept. Every time she drifted off, she would be jolted awake by the sound of whispers in the air, as though they were coming from the walls themselves. She pulled the blankets over her head, trying to block them out, but they only seemed to grow louder. At one point, around 2 a.m., Claire got up to use the bathroom. As she passed by the lobby on her way out, she saw the woman behind the counter again. Her smile still just as strange, but now she was staring at Claire with an intensity that made her feel wrong. "Everything okay?" the woman asked in the same soft tone. Claire nodded quickly. "Just tired." The woman's smile widened. "Yes, it gets to you. The quiet, the echoes, they never leave." Claire nodded, unsure of what the woman meant, but the way she said it felt like a warning. The following day, Claire planned to leave. She packed her things and went to the front desk to check out. The woman wasn't there anymore, but Claire noticed something strange in the guest book. There were no recent entries, only faded names from years ago. As Claire reached the door, she heard the whispers again. This time they were louder, clearer. They were calling her name. She turned around, and there, standing at the edge of the lobby, was a man. His face was gaunt, eyes hollow. His clothes were old-fashioned, like something out of the 1950s. He had an unsettling smile that never seemed to fade. "You'll never leave, you know," the man said, his voice a raspy whisper. "Once you check in, you never check out. The motel claims you. We are all its guests." Claire's heart raced. She turned and bolted for the door, but when she tried to open it, it wouldn't budge. The whispers grew louder, almost deafening now. The walls of the lobby seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy, and Claire felt the air around her growing colder, thicker. The man's smile never wavered as he stepped toward her. You will stay with us forever. Frantic, Claire scrambled toward the back door, but when she pushed it open, she found herself not outside, but in the same hallway she had walked down earlier. The motel seemed to stretch on forever, the hallway twisting and turning, leading her back to room 5. The echoes were everywhere now, loud and insistent. The walls seemed to be closing in on her. Desperately, Claire ran through the hallways, each door she passed now shaking violently as if it were alive. The whispers became a chorus, stay, stay, stay forever. Claire stumbled into the lobby again, but it was different now. The man was no longer there. The woman behind the counter was gone too. The only thing left was the guest book. This time she opened it, and in the final entry, written in frantic, jagged handwriting, it said, "They never let you leave. The motel holds you. We are all its prisoners. It watches you." The walls of the motel seemed to close in. Claire screamed as she felt something cold wrap around her, pulling her into the floor, and with one final desperate gasp, she was gone. A new car pulled into the motel's parking lot, and a weary traveler stepped out, glancing up at the weathered sign. It buzzed faintly above him. Hollow Creek Motel Vacancy. He took a deep breath, unsure why he felt a shiver down his spine. Something about this place seemed wrong, but he shrugged it off and entered the lobby. The woman behind the desk smiled at him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "Welcome," she said, her voice calm and soothing. "We have a room for you."